When I went to say good night to Winkle the cat, I said, "Well, good night, Winkle. You gave yourself a nasty turn today, didn't you? In fact, you gave us all a very nasty turn." And Winkle the cat said, Winkle the cat is a bit of a mystery. Nobody knows where he comes from, and he never, ever talks about himself. He just goes about his job inspecting the zoo. He's inspecting for mice, really, but he pretends that he's inspecting for everything. And when he goes inspecting, he's got a strange smile on his face, as though he knows that he'll find something to winkle out. That's why we call you Winkle. Isn't it, Winkle? But this afternoon, someone saw a mouse in the store shed, and they said, "Hey, there's a mouse. Where's Winkle? Winkle doesn't allow mice to come in here." And soon everyone was saying, "Where's Winkle?" And we called, "Winkle! Winkle! Winkle!" But we couldn't find Winkle anywhere, and it began to get dark. And so we took torches and started looking around the zoo for Winkle, and asking everyone we saw if they'd seen Winkle. We asked Rory the lion, "Have you seen Winkle, Rory?" And Rory the lion said, and we asked Toodaloo the owl, "Have you seen Winkle, Toodaloo?" And Toodaloo the owl said, We asked Charlie and Gladys the warthogs, "Have you seen Winkle, Charlie and Gladys?" And Charlie and Gladys the warthog said, "No, no, 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 no." And we asked Hooter the elephant, "Oh, no, I haven't seen him. Oh, dear me, such a pity, you know. I'd grown very fond of Winkle, very fond of him indeed. The last I saw of him, he was walking over to the store shed and was just going to inspect the lorry that was delivering the sea lion's fish." He was going to inspect the fish lorry? Well, I thought so. Ah, and that was it. Winkle popped into the fish lorry to inspect it, while the driver unloaded the fish. But Winkle was giving the lorry such a good inspection, and the driver didn't notice him, and when he'd finished unloading the fish, he just slammed the door and drove off with Winkle. Took him miles away. But fortunately, he found him and telephoned the zoo. And now you're back with us, Winkle, but you did give us a turn, and yourself. Good night. When I went to say good night to Nibble the squirrel, I said, "Well, good night, Nibble. You've had a real bit of fun today, haven't you?" And Nibble the squirrel said, "Hee hee hee. You just come and go as you please, don't you? Hee hee hee." It's true, Nibble the squirrel is a grey squirrel, and of course he's a wild squirrel, but he comes into the zoo, and he flips about in the trees, and springs across the lawns, and digs in the flower beds. But what he likes to do most of all is to come into the zoo in the afternoon, when the visitors are having their picnics on the lawn. Oh, he likes that very much indeed. Well, just think of all the tidbits there are. Little crumbs of cake, little bits of biscuit, nuts and apples, and Nibble the squirrel has become very tame indeed. So tame that if someone holds out a bit of biscuit in their hand, Nibble will come very carefully right up to the biscuit and take it. Of course, it's something that people like to do, share their tea with a squirrel. But of course, some people are not satisfied with that. Oh no, people like Walter Pobjoy and his friend Percy Gherkin. They brought their picnic to the zoo, and Walter Pobjoy said, "Hey, Percy, you watch this. I'll hold out a piece of cake to that squirrel, and when he comes to take it, I'll catch him. You watch." And Percy Gherkin said, "You can't catch him. You just watch." And he held out a piece of cake, and Nibble got closer and closer to the cake, and he was just about to take it when Walter Pobjoy made a grab at Nibble. But squirrels are very quick, and they've very sharp teeth, and Nibble just nipped Walter Pobjoy's finger. He went, "Oh! Ah! Oh!" He made a terrible noise. "Oh! Oh! Where's that squirrel? Where's that squirrel?" But Nibble was nowhere to be seen, until Percy Gherkin said, "Hey, Walter, look at your school cap." Walter's school cap was on the lawn, and it began to move. "It's moving! Hey, it's moving! Your cap's moving!" And didn't it move? Because you were under it, weren't you, Nibble? And before they could catch you, you ran with the cap into Buffalo Bill's backyard and dropped it there. And if there's anything that Buffalo Bill hates, it's things in his backyard. And he tossed Walter's hat in the air, and he stamped on it, and he rolled on it. Dear me, you did have a bit of fun, didn't you, Nibble? More than a bit of fun. Good night. When I went to say good night to Otto, the German giraffe, I said, "Well, good night, Otto. How do you like things in this country?" And Otto, the German giraffe, said, "Well, it is very difficult to tell, but I think I'm liking things very well so far." Well, I'm very glad to hear it, Otto. I'm very glad to hear it. You see, Otto comes from a very big zoo in Germany, and this zoo happened to have rather a lot of giraffes. And so Otto has come to live with us because our giraffe, Georgina, was all on her own, and she was getting a bit lonely. Everybody was very excited about Otto coming to live with us. Tub Thump, the gorilla, said,
"Here, what's all this about a German giraffe coming to live here?"
"Well, a German giraffe is coming to live here, Tub Thump."
"Well, he'd better not try anything funny, that's all."
"Now, how can he try anything funny, Tub Thump?"
"I don't know, but he'd better not try, that's all. If he does, I'll soon put the wind up him. I'll slap my chest at him, like this. He'd better not try anything funny."
"He won't try anything funny, Tub Thump. Let's hear what Hooter the elephant has to say."
"Well, I'm looking forward to meeting Otto. As we both come originally from Africa, I feel that we have a lot in common."
And Georgina, our giraffe, said, "Well, of course I'm looking forward to meeting him. There aren't many people to talk to up here, you know." Georgina is very funny, sometimes. And then Otto arrived. He came in a great big wooden crate on a great big lorry, and it only just managed to get in through the big main gates of the zoo. And then the lorry stopped near to Otto's house, which is next to Georgina's house. And we didn't notice that the lorry had stopped right underneath a beautiful chestnut tree. But you did, didn't you, Otto?
"Oh, yeah. It was the best chestnut tree that I have ever tasted in the whole lifetime."
"I know, but didn't the head gardener make a noise?"
"Hey, what you think you're doing? You've eaten nearly half of my chestnut tree. Stop it, stop it. You get that German giraffe out of here. Oh, blessed long-necked German giraffe."
He was very upset, wasn't he, Otto?
"Oh, yeah.
But you didn't seem to mind."
Oh, no. Sticks and stones may break the bones, but words will never hurt me."
"Oh, where did you learn that, Otto?"
"Oh, my mother was an English giraffe, you know."
"Well, I never. So I expect you like it here."
"Oh, yeah. It's very nice. Good night."
Good night. When I went to say good night to Coconut, the orangutan, I said, "Well, good night, Coconut. You've done it again, haven't you? You've done it again." And Coconut said,
"What do you mean I've done it again? I've never done it before."
"I know that. What you did today you've never done before, but what I mean is you've done a fair bit of damage."
"Damage? Oh, yes. Well, if you put it like that, I suppose it was a bit of damage. But then, you see, what is damage to you is not damage to me."
All right, Coconut. All right, Coconut. We won't argue. But you see, you said you would like a nice lawn in your front garden.
That's right. I like a nice lawn.
I know. Most people like a nice lawn, Coconut. Tub Thump the gorilla likes a nice lawn, and so we laid one for him in his front garden. And I must say he looks very impressive when he sits on his lawn, in the sunshine. He's so wonderfully black, and the lawn is so beautifully green. And so we thought that as you wanted a lawn, we'd let you have a lawn.
That's right, yes, and a very nice of you. I likes a nice lawn.
I know you like a nice lawn. Well, the men came with a lorry full of turfs. You know what turfs are, don't you, Coconut?
Oh, bless my soul, yes. I know what turfs are, all right. Oh, yes.
Yes, turfs are big strips of grass and earth that are carefully dug from a field somewhere. And then you lay them down on bare ground, just like tiles. And there you are, in no time at all, you've got a lawn. Well, the men who laid your lawn were very quick, weren't they, Coconut?
Oh, yes, they made a beautiful job of it.
They did. They laid the turfs and banged them hard with the backs of their spades so that the lawn was nice and level. And they watered it and went away. And we left the lawn for a few weeks, and then we let you out onto it, Coconut.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yes, so were we. We went away to have dinner, and when we came back...
Yes, marvellous, wasn't it?
It was marvellous. You'd lifted every single turf out and rolled them up and stacked them in the corner of the garden. You rolled them up just like sponge rolls, every single one of them.
Yes, that's right. It's funny, isn't it? I got my finger under one of those turfs, you know, and I pulled a bit and up it come. Marvellous. I just couldn't stop.
But you haven't got a lawn now, Coconut, and you said you like a nice lawn.
Oh, yes, I like a nice lawn to roll up, you see. That's the best bit of a lawn, rolling it up. Good night.
I don't know. Good night. When I went to say good night to Georgina, our giraffe, and Otto, the German giraffe, I said, well, good night, Georgina and Otto. Perhaps you'll give your tongues a rest now, will you? And Georgina, our giraffe, said, how frightfully funny. And Otto, the German giraffe, said, you are making some very good jokes, yeah? Well, it may be a joke, but you know what I mean. When people say, perhaps you'll give your tongue a rest, they mean perhaps you'll stop talking and chattering and give your tongue a rest. Well, Georgina, our giraffe, and Otto, the German giraffe, did have a lot to talk about. Their front gardens were side by side, and they spent a lot of time talking over the garden wall.
You know, Georgina, in Germany, the day is starting much earlier than is starting here. Oh, really, Otto? I don't see what you mean. The day starts surely at the same time here as in Germany. That is, when the sun comes up. No, Georgina, you are not understanding what I am meaning. Oh, sorry, Otto. What are you meaning? Well, in Germany, the people are beginning the work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, really? How very interesting, Otto. Well, here they are a teeny-weeny bit later. But of course, what I always say is that it doesn't really matter when people...
And Georgina and Otto chattered and never seemed to give their tongues a rest. They were chattering away when the men from the post office telephones came, because the zoo's telephone kept breaking down. Well, one minute it would be all right, and the next it would be all wrong. The zoo director would pick up the telephone to order the fruit for Tub Thump the gorilla and for Coconut the orangutan.
Hello, this is the zoo director. I want to order the week's bananas, please.
Oh, there would be a dreadful noise, and no one could speak on the telephone, and the men from the post office just could not find out what was the matter, until one of them happened to be passing Georgina and Otto's front gardens, and Otto was saying,
You know, Georgina, quite by accident, I wondered what this wire tasted like. It tastes rather nice. Try it.
and Georgina tasted the wire.
Oh, delicious.
They were both licking the telephone wires with their long, dark tongues. No wonder the telephone didn't work sometimes. So you will give your tongues a rest, won't you?
Oh, yeah. Good night.
Good night. When I went to say good night to Bernard the baboon, I said, well, good night, Bernard. You and your mob are always up to something, aren't you? And Bernard the baboon said,
Well, you know what I mean. We can't hang about all day, can we?
and I said, well, no, Bernard, you can't. And you've been very good lately.
Oh, yes, as good as gold. I mean, we haven't nicked hardly anything.
I know. You see, Bernard the baboon and his mob are inclined to take things away from people. They call it nicking things. And once they've nicked something, it's very difficult to get it back. And even if you do get it back, it's not much use anymore. If Bernard or one of Bernard's mob nicks an umbrella from someone, it's broken up into matchsticks in no time at all. But as Bernard says,
Look, if anybody pokes a umbrella anywhere near me, that's it, mate. I grab it.
I know you do, Bernard.
Yeah, and if anyone got a Macintosh over their arm and they comes a bit too close to the bars, that Mac's mine, mate.
I know, Bernard. But then you rip them up.
Oh, wow. You got to test them, haven't you?
Yeah, I suppose you have, Bernard. You tested that camera last week, didn't you?
Oh, the camera, yeah, wow. That was too easy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Someone tried to take a picture of Bernard and his mob, and they leant right over the guardrail and were so close to the bars, it was a gift, wasn't it, Bernard?
Oh, yeah. It's a shame to take it, really. Wasn't much of a camera, though.
Wasn't it, Bernard?
Nah. My little boy, Little Titch, had it in bits in about 5 minutes.
Did he really, Bernard?
Oh, yeah. Clever bloke, you know. Little Titch.
He is, Bernard. You know, he seems very fond of ice cream. He's got his head right inside an ice cream cup now, and he's so small, he's practically got all of himself inside the cup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He likes a bit of ice cream now and again.
It seems you all like a bit of ice cream now and again. Bernard?
Yeah?
How do you get it? We don't give it to you.
Don't you? No, of course you don't, no.
No, I can count at least a dozen empty ice cream cups lying about.
Oh, can you? Oh, fancy that. Well, I'm blowed.
How did they get in there, Bernard?
Wow, people chuck 'em at us, you know. You get a terrible lot here sometimes.
Really, Bernard, you and your mob are up to something, aren't you?
Well, we can't hang about, can we? Good night.
No, you can't hang about. Good night. When I went to say good night to Side Splitter the kookaburra, I said, well, good night, Side Splitter. You gave the game away all right today, didn't you? And Side Splitter, the laughing jackass, said,
Oh, I know. Couldn't help laughing, though. Funniest thing I've seen for a long time.
I know. Side Splitter, the laughing jackass, gave the game away when I was trying to find out how Bernard the baboon and his mob managed to get hold of all those ice cream cups. I went to ask Harum Scarum the cockatoo. I say, Harum Scarum, do you know how the baboons managed to get hold of all those ice cream cups?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then how?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
But you said you did know.
That's right.
Oh, come on, Harum Scarum. Either you know or you don't know. Now, what is it? Now, look, it's no good singing to try to pass it off. How did the baboons get all those ice cream cups?
I promise not to tell.
You promised not to tell?
Yeah.
Who did you promise not to tell?
Side Splitter.
Side Splitter, the laughing jackass?
Oh, yeah.
And then we heard you laughing, Side Splitter.
I know. I've never seen anything like it.
Neither have I. I had no idea that Bernard the baboon was so brilliant. I knew he was clever, but not as clever as that. You see, a whole coachload of children came to the zoo, and Hooter the elephant gave them all elephant rides, and Grumblehump the camel gave them all camel rides, and then they went over to the ice cream kiosk to buy ice cream, and they wandered over to Bernard the baboon and his mob eating their ice cream. And the teacher said, "Now come along, if you've finished your ice cream, put the cups in the litter basket." And they put their cups in the litter basket. And you know as well as I do that there's always some ice cream left over in an ice cream cup. And the moment they'd gone, little Titch, Bernard's little boy, just scampered out through the bars over to the litter basket and ran back with 5 cups. He was so little he could get through the bars easily, and nobody had ever thought of that. But Bernard had. Little Titch was making his 5th trip when I came to see what you were laughing about.
I know.
Good night. When I went to say good night to Fanfare the peacock, I said, "Well, good night, Fanfare. It's a good job you've got such an alarming cry, isn't it? Could you do it for me once again?" And Fanfare the peacock went, "Ah! Ah!" That's it. It's a good job you kept on doing that this afternoon, otherwise things might have turned out very differently. You see, there are a lot of very beautiful trees in the zoo, and as you know, when autumn comes, the leaves slowly turn colour and fall, and that means they have to be swept up. And for some days we'd been sweeping up the leaves and putting them into a big heap to be burned. It's always a little sad at this time of the year because it means that winter's coming. Winter can be very nice, but some people are not very fond of it. Hooter the elephant isn't.
No, I must say, I never like to see the leaves falling. It means that the cold weather is not very far away. You feel the same about it, no doubt, Grumblehump?
And Grumblehump the camel said,
"Well, it's obvious, isn't it, that we people who come from warm climates are used to warm weather, and cold weather doesn't really suit us. Take poor old Century the tortoise there. You don't like the cold, do you, old chap?"
And old Century the tortoise said,
"Oh, no, I'm not one for the cold weather. It's a good job we've got well-heated houses, that's all I can say."
And of course, we have got well-heated houses at the zoo, and all those who live outside in the summer move inside in the winter, where it's warm and cosy. But there are days in the autumn when it can be quite chilly one day and quite warm the next. And it was on a cold autumn day that we started the bonfire. We set fire to the great big heap of leaves. They didn't burn very well to start with because they were a bit damp, but after a while the bonfire sent up a long spiral of smoke, and we went away to gather some more leaves. When we heard, "Ah! Ah!" It was Fanfare, the peacock, and he kept on. "Ah! Ah!" And so we went back, and Fanfare was scratching at one side of the bonfire. So we scratched away, and in the bonfire we found old Century the tortoise. He'd felt a little chilly and crawled into the leaves to be a bit warmer and dozed off. Oh no, he wasn't burnt. The fire hadn't reached him, but it might have done if you hadn't cried out, Fanfare. How do you do it again? That's it. Good night.